Kalen DeBoer showed up at the Senior Bowl. He had a lot to say. They asked him about a new connection with an old friend. We'll talk about Ryan Grubb and the future of Alabama football. But first, let me tell you guys that this is Elephant in the Room, brought to you by MyBookie.ag. That's Jake Coker. Here's his open. All right, representing the city of Mobile, there he is, the mayor of Mobile, Jake Coker, Mick Gillispie from over here in Fairhope, Alabama. Good to see all of you guys from LA. Snow has evaporated. Did you like it? Did you like it better when we had the blizzard? The blizzard.
I like the day of the blizzard. After 2 days, I was ready for all that to get out of here. Mm-hmm. It was starting to drive me crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot of snow.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Ripped my boat cover in half.
Did it really?
Yeah, true story. Like I was sick last week, and I get this. Hey, did you take the boat cover off? No. Why would it? Because I could see the steering wheel in the center console. Okay, got out of there. And that's like dug the boat out from 11 inches of snow. I think we had 11 inches over here.
Yeah. But so what all did Kalen say? I had my oldest daughter's birthday yesterday, so wasn't able to make it out to the Senior Bowl.
So you're the dad of a 5-year-old, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
Man, that's pretty cool.
It's 5-year-old and 1-year-old. It's always mayhem at my house.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I feel like it's time for another one.
Another edition. Yeah, I'm working on it.
I know. I know how those Cokers are. They like to have a big family. So met the original Bryant. I haven't met Mom yet.
Dad's got to come on the podcast in the next week or so because
bring him on.
He's got a bone to pick with you about some of these baseball conversations.
I do love your dad, man.
He's like, I was alive. He was like, I was alive to see Satchel Paige. Let me tell you something.
Hey, bring it on. Now, I get all my Satchel Paige information from Hall of Famer Billy Williams, who said he played Satch in some of his pickup games. But yeah, I would love to talk that with your dad. So first off, Kalen DeBoer was asked a bunch of questions yesterday at the Senior Bowl. I'm actually heading there after we record this podcast. Couldn't get there yesterday, unfortunately, but he was asked, the first thing was asked about Ryan Grubb. And he basically said, hey, could Ryan Grubb come, or something to that effect. He said, I love working with him, paraphrasing, love him, he's a good dude. And Ryan's basically going through his process right now. I didn't hear a no in there. I didn't hear a in there. It sounded to me like we're going to see what happens when all of these NFL head coaching jobs are filled. And then, so I still think he's going to come. I mean, I think you know how it is. When you work well with someone and it's fun, why not, right?
Yeah. Well, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I mean, it's definitely a struggle to it's kind of like putting a short leash on your quarterback. You know what I mean? With Nick at the OC spot. I mean, I know that they're really close, and I think Nick's done a great job in being in his first year at Alabama with a roster that he wasn't a part of recruiting and putting in place. I mean, I think you got to give them some time to get their own guys in there. But, at the same time, I don't know if Kalen DeBoer's ever been in this type of a pressure situation where, you got to build, you got to win as quickly as possible. And at the same time, he's got to do what he's got to do to make sure he protects his job. So, would it surprise me either way? It'd be hard for me to hire a guy, and then, when I feel like he hadn't had an opportunity really yet to prove himself, whether in a good way or a negative way, to replace him. But, there's a lot of money at stake here, and there's a lot of pressure at Alabama. So, really wouldn't surprise me either way. But I hope Nick sticks around, even if Ryan Grubb does end up coming to Alabama, because I think he's a great asset to the university.
And you're talking about Nick Sheridan, who's the offensive coordinator. Those guys all worked together in the past. I mean, isn't there a way to make it work? Nick Saban seemed to be able to do that as well as anyone. I think people knew that it was Nick Saban's team. Kevin Steele said it was his defense a couple years ago. But people lined up to take whatever position they could at Alabama. And I'm just wondering, couldn't you find a way to make that work if Ryan Grubb came?
I mean, you'd think, look, if that's what Kalen DeBoer believes is the best way to win, if that's, they work the best together, how do you stop that? I mean, at the end of the day, it's about how many wins you get. I mean, Nick's in a great spot, whether he's the tight ends coach or the offensive coordinator at his age. I mean, I think he's only a few years older than me, to be in that situation in Alabama. You've got a lot of opportunity, whether it be moving up in the organization after Ryan Grubb heads back to the NFL, Ryan Grubb's not going to be an offensive coordinator in college forever. I mean, that's just not going to happen, So, and a lot of these coaches, assistants, throughout the years, they kind of stick in the same circles, and their job security is pretty safe. Mm-hmm. Once they've built that reputation with a certain coach. With Nick, that happens to be Kalen DeBoer. So at his age, he's always pretty much going to have a safe haven under Kalen, and I think you got to accept whatever decision is made. I mean, Ryan Grubb was the guy when they first got here. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was, so it's obvious, where Kalen's head's at. I mean, he loves Ryan Grubb. That's his guy that got them to a national championship at Washington. So, I mean, if you're Nick, you got to think, I mean, you kind of got to know where Kalen's head is at there. Hope that there's some loyalty there, but at the same time, you got to understand what kind of pressure you're under. I mean, I know Nick understands that. I don't think he's ever been in a job like this before. I mean, he's never been an OC before. Prior to this, but he may have, but not under the scope of pressure that Alabama brings, and so there's got to be some understanding there. And when Alabama has a season like this, even though it is, to me, I give them a lot of credit, because I think we had a lot of good moments. We had some bad moments, inconsistencies, and I know. And speaking to Nick, he was very unhappy with that, as he should be. But when you have a season like we had this past year, it's not up to the standard that Coach Saban set. And now, obviously, there's more eyeballs on you. So mm-hmm. we got to do whatever we can to win. And only Kalen DeBoer knows how they're going to operate most efficiently.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to say. One of the other things that he talked about was that they didn't reach their expectations. And I think they were pretty close, going into the Oklahoma game, but then those two games, the Oklahoma game and the Michigan game. And then when you kind of factor in the Vanderbilt game with the way that those two went, it really does make you feel, like they should say that they didn't reach their expectations, because that's just not what the standard is here.
Yeah. And I was talking to Nick about that, and I said, just saying it is, I can only imagine how tough it is to come in, implement your own system, brand new guys, skill sets that you haven't really seen before or coached with before, and do all that following Coach Saban and also playing in the SEC. And, mean, he wasn't having my my compliments. He wasn't too thrilled with the way the season went, and I was happy to hear that. I mean, there was no excuses made. There was no, we had a tough year, and I'm being honest about that. He did not. There was no throwing anybody under the bus except for himself, and you got to appreciate that kind of just acceptance of responsibility.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us here.
I did ask him about if he could teach me how to do that jump shot like Ryan Williams in the Tennessee
game. I'm sure that went over well. I'm fart in church.
yeah. He just kind of gave me the stink eye, and I knew we needed to move on.
We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. There's a big football game coming up here in a couple weeks, and you guys are going to want to use mybookie.ag to get a little taste of the action. Yep, you got Philadelphia against Kansas City again, and a lot of Alabama players are playing for the Philadelphia team. But mybookie.ag, promo code next round, double your initial deposit. Take advantage of it as we talk football and really all sports here on covercrimson.com. And with Jake Coker, obviously I'm Mick Gillispie. We appreciate you guys making this show part of what you do every day. Another thing he asked about, you've been through this before, the quarterback battle that's about to take place. And I feel like this one is really a quarterback battle. I mean, I know that Ty has the edge just because he's, been there and has done the reps, but don't count out Austin Mack. He came over from Washington with these guys. I thought Mack threw maybe the best ball of any of the backups in that, when he came in and threw that touchdown. But I mean, that's like one pass. You got all of this starting now to the 8A game. Take us through what they should be doing to prepare themselves to be the starting quarterback at Alabama, and what's it like mentally? When you and you like the other guys. I mean, you like the other guys in the quarterback room that you kind of went against. For the position anyway. This kind of give us the background from a guy that played quarterback.
Well, I mean, it all starts now. The off-season workouts, this is where the leadership's established. This is where, guys kind of stand out within the team. And really going into camp, everybody kind of knows who the guy should be, in my opinion, because, you're working out every day. You're doing 7-on-7s. You're running 7-on-7s. And the summer off-season workouts, that's where the leadership within the locker room is built, especially when you have seniors leaving. We got a lot this year. You kind of find out the fabric of the team and how the hierarchy works. Can't be that guy going out, during the summer. Everybody, sees how serious you are. If, coming in all jacked up in the mornings for workouts late, you got to be on top of everything, kind of coordinating with receivers and getting everybody on the same page, because it's your team now. And it takes an entire offseason to just get ready for that first game. Because obviously there's so many moving parts, so many moving parts. And again, I've said this over and over again. You're communicating with a brand new group of guys in games that matter now, when the opposing crowd is loud. It's just a completely different environment. You're used to going in at the end of games when nobody really cares. It's not loud. Everybody's kind of watching just to see what your potential is in 1, 2, 3 years. So, now everything matters, and now the media, the fans, everybody's coming down on you this next year. And so a lot of pressure, and you got to be that guy that kind of builds the camaraderie, again, the standard, and build kind of a bulletproof unit.
So do the coaches assist you in that? I mean, are they going, hey, Jake, you really need to kind of be on time here type thing? Or is it more, self-preservation type stuff?
I would say, I had a lot of conversations with Coach Saban, throughout my time there. But then, mainly the guy who built the morale, the mentality, who got everybody on the same page during the off season was Scott Cochran when I was there.
Wow.
In terms of the entire team, motivated everybody. I still, to this day, that off-season program, the fourth quarter, his mentality and the way that, most strength coaches, a lot of them, obviously, they're meatheads. It's all, it's all like just go, go, go. It's kind of like that military, mentality of just strictly toughness. But Coach Cochran was really good at both sides, pushing guys, creating a very tough atmosphere. And then when he's having trouble with guys, having individual conversations in his office, and really finding out what the issues are and learning how to coach people.
Right.
I thought he was one of the best I've ever seen at just finding a way to communicate with guys. I think he related to everybody very well across the board. Guys from California, Texas, North Carolina, wherever, just found a way to get the best out of them and really push them to a limit that, I hadn't really seen. I remember when I got to my spring break, my last spring break at Florida State, I went up to Tuscaloosa, and I went up there to work out. And I remember, I get in the facility and I'm getting my first workout done on a Monday, and Kendall Moorhead's in there and he hands me the sheet of paper for the workout, and I'm looking at it and I was like, from start to finish, it's the entire page. And I'm like, I look at him and I was like, so is this the whole week? Like, is this broken down into days? And he goes, no, buddy, that's just today. And I was like, oh shit.
His old jersey somewhere.
Man, I got done that first day and I couldn't move. I was like, what? I was like, is this an everyday thing? He goes, oh yeah, every day. And I was like, and then you're going to have to go run after this. I was like, holy shit. And,
how long did it take you to get used to doing all that stuff?
I'd say it took about a month. It took me about a month to get to where when the whistle was blown, I was like, I wasn't like, okay, man, where's the whistle? It's like when you're in class in high school and you're just sitting there watching the clock.
Yeah.
You feel like the bell's never going to ring. Well, it took me about a month to get to the point where like the bell just rang and I wasn't staring at the clock.
I'm sure your grades reflected that. Mine did too. Sit there looking at that big ass clock on the wall, like the little hand would like this, and you'd look back up and like 2 minutes would be gone and feel like an hour. I wish life went that slow now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, that's crazy. I hope they don't lose that mentality, man. I worry that that they're going to lose that mentality of, the success that Alabama had. It started with that stuff. How hard were you willing to work for it?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the game, at the end of games in the fourth quarter, I truly believe, I don't think that anybody outworked Alabama during the offseason. And I think, again, in the fourth quarter of games, you could just see the life leave the teams you were playing. And I do think that just the mentality that everything's hard, get over it, you're going to be fine. This is where we thrive. I Coach Cochran used to say all the time. You be the thermostat. You're the one that creates the tough situations for your surroundings. So I just think that that mentality, just creating tough environments nonstop, just makes you just get used to it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something else Coach DeBoer said, he was talking about how excited he is about the momentum that they have with, players choosing to play at Alabama. Obviously, they had a good recruiting class. They're working on the class of 26 right now, which has one guy. But people have been very clear to me not to worry about that yet because the class of 25 still has, until February, like next month. I mean, so you know that Ty Haywood's not going to be at Alabama. He got bought by somebody else allegedly. So whatever, good for him. But they did good with this recruiting class, and that I don't know if they're going to add anybody to it or not. It just seems like they're out there right now working on next year's recruiting class, giving out scholarships, offers, and meeting people. I feel like that's one of DeBoer's biggest strengths is his personality, and that he's an easy guy to like and pull for.
Yeah, well, I think when guys meet with him, they think, okay, I've got a stable scenario where I can go in, a coach is going to communicate with me and be honest with me, and just not going to be dealing with garbage mind games a lot of times, just because I mean, one thing I hated was, sometimes you'd be getting coached and coaches just yelling at you nonstop. And it's like, it's not really hey, here's what I need you to do. This is what I'm not liking. This is what you need to get done. Just a clear, stable, concise message. It's just like sometimes coaches yell to yell, and that's not the kind of coach you're getting. You're getting a guy who's really going to just communicate with you and make you a better player. And I think he's going to try to get guys that he doesn't need to do that to,
Right.
what I mean? I wasn't the type of player that I felt like, I was going to show up and work my ass off no matter what. I didn't need all the noise,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that would drive me crazy no matter what, you got somebody just cranking in your ear all the time. And it's like, dude,
You didn't like that, huh?
Back off and let me get this
Jimbo.
done.
Was that Jimbo?
No. Maybe.
When you finally were like, hey, F it, I'm just going to do this.
No,
that's when I see your best highlights. I see the highlights, like when.
No. I love Jimbo, but we, again, I think coaches, they got to figure out how to coach you. And I think, especially when you come in, I remember I came in, when I first came in, I told you that story about him kicking the ball and telling me to take my ass back to Mobile. And that was like day one, day two. I'm like, dude, I don't even know. It's kind of like that clip. I don't know if you heard Coach Saban talking about Derek, and they just, they're trying to pass block, and he's like, dude, they just tossed me the ball, and I ran with it.
Yeah.
There was no pass blocking. We didn't pass. I ran. It was like, day one I show at Florida State, and I remember I like threw a comeback route high, and Jimbo's like, just ripping my ass about that's not the right read. I'm like, dude, I've been here for one day. Like, I don't.
He was gonna find something wrong no matter what, though.
Oh yeah. But then then you start to learn, and then you actually have real conversations, and then they learn how to coach you.
That's how we did it on this podcast. You remember at the beginning? Stop! That's not how you do this. Cut. Now look at you. Oh man. Well, look, this was fun. Let's get back together again later in the week. I like having our shows for the weekend, and the Senior Bowl's this weekend, so we'll kind of look at some of the guys that are there. And all of that stuff. Happy birthday. I'm guessing that was Palmer that turned 5.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you took care of her with a, like big party in the bouncy house. And
as I was sitting there with my I was about to take them back to the house, and we did it at my in-laws' house. And I mean, we're looking around. We're like, I mean, this is like Christmas in January again. You know what I mean? It's like there's just toys laying all over the place. I'm like, we don't even have enough room in our house for all this anymore.
Yeah, right. What are we doing here? Well, guys, like and subscribe. Good comment section. Get in there. Be part of covercrimson.com. Clint is constantly looking at the transfer portal, recruiting. We're going to start our recruiting show up really soon here. Jake and I will be back later this week. And there's a ton of other great content on the channel. So make sure you're a part of it. And mybookie.ag, use that promo code next round with the big game coming. Philadelphia versus Kansas City. Take advantage of it. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Roll Tide.